Greetings, everyone, and welcome to this, the fourth Digital Music Memorial Concert. We're so glad you decided to join us to spend this part of your evening, which I'm sure is going to trump anything else you do this evening, for example, a presidential election debate. This evening, we're delighted to have with us the Trinitas Chamber Ensemble to perform. And I'll introduce the Trinitas Ensemble in just a moment, and they'll be here, they are here, and we'll introduce the concert called Love Triangle for this evening. But before I do that, of course, as I want to do and always do at all music and memorial events, provide a land acknowledgement. So we respectfully acknowledge the territory in which we gather, the territory from which this campus of Memorial University is situated, as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk. We also recognize the island of Newfoundland as the ancestral homelands of the Mi'kmaq and Beothuk. We'd also like to recognize the Inuit of Nunatsiavut and Nunatukavut and the Inuit-Tsinen and their ancestors as the original people of Labrador. We strive for respectful relationships with all the peoples of this province as we search for collective healing and true reconciliation and honor this beautiful land together. So we're delighted to have with us the Trinitas Chamber Ensemble. And if you didn't know, you might have guessed from the name, the Trinitas Ensemble includes three fantastic musicians, Dr. Michelle Cheremy, Dr. Nathan Cook, and Dr. Philip Roberts. We could call them perhaps a trio of doctors, musical doctors, that is, not medical doctors. The ensemble has been playing together for several years now. They've recorded their debut album, and we're delighted to have them on the Music Memorial series. As soloists or with the Chamber Ensemble, they've toured across North America, they've toured South America and Europe. Michelle, as a flutist, has been acclaimed for her artistry and bravura. Nathan, as a cellist, has been acclaimed for a wonderful combination of vigor and beauty. And Phil has been acclaimed as a virtuoso pianist, as well as a very versatile one, spanning genres from classical to jazz to musical theater, many things in between. They're also longtime members, of course, of the Memorial University family. Phil's actually a graduate of the school, an alumnus of the Bachelor of Music program. He's also a regular instructor here at the school, and Nathan and Michelle have been longtime and continue to be longtime faculty members here at the School of Music. They're going to introduce the show to us, say some words about the works that they're going to perform. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Great to have you here, and
thank you, Ian.
Looking forward to it.
Yes.
All right, I'm up. So the concert starts with a piece by American composer Paul Schoenfield. It's called Cafe Music, and it's super, super fun. I think it's my favorite one. No, it's not my favorite. Anyway, they're all my favorite. It's great. It's a favorite. Yeah, it's really, really good. It's a good rep. Anyway, he was inspired when he filled in as the house pianist at a steakhouse in Minneapolis, and so he wanted to write a piece that would be kind of appropriate for that setting. And he said that would be good enough to barely fit into a concert hall, which I don't think gives it enough credit. Yeah, just kind of sneak it in. Yeah, so it's got all kinds of like kind of old school jazz things. It's got ragtime. It has blues. It has the part that I love and hate at the same time, which is what they call stride piano. That's when the right hand stays here and the left hand does this. But anyway, it's super fun. A nice kind of jazzy, upbeat way to start the program.
Yeah. And second on the program is Dorothy Chang's Bagatelles. And I have to admit, this afternoon I looked up the meaning of bagatelle because I wanted to sound smart. And I learned, at least Google told me, it wasn't Wikipedia. The academics out there will scoff if I looked at Wikipedia or trusted Wikipedia. But no, I don't think Google is better than Wikipedia. I just know Wikipedia has a reputation. Anyway, evidently, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that carnival game where you throw a ball at an inclined plane and it has pegs, and the ball goes boink, 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 and it always seems to land in the spot that gives you the least number of points. That is a bagatelle.
I mean, we're playing Plinko?
Anyway, yes. Anyway, for our purposes, that's not the definition we're looking for. A bagatelle is a light, characterful, but not very meaningful thing. A little thing.
Unless you string 6 of them together.
Yes, and I was going to say, Dorothy, I think, achieves something more than meaninglessness with her pieces. So her 6 bagatelles, the first is Palest of Blues, and in her own words, it's very Ravel-esque, and I agree. It's got some very Ravel-like colors to it. The second, Rondino, is a rhythmically very interesting piece. It's one of my favorites in the set, that shifts between meters quite frequently. Not just a kind of 6/8 to 3/4, a kind of 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 kind of thing, but throws in some odd meters as well. So you get 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6, that kind of thing. So it's very rhythmically interesting. The third movement, Elixir, is the first part of the program that will challenge a listener's ear who's not used to 20th or 21st century music.
I think most of our audience is probably used to it. They just might not like it.
I think so too. But Phil gets to play under the hood, so to speak. You've got your mallets in Elixir. Yeah.
New ones that I bought just for this show.
Yes.
So they're all shiny while they
So
work.
Phil stands up and uses percussion mallets inside the instrument inside the piano, and Michelle and I are playing at times in quarter tones. So if it sounds like we're out of tune, we mean to be.
Yep, we're perfectly out of tune.
Yep,
Perfectly
we're
out
perfectly
of
out of tune. Still Waters is the fourth movement, and that's the meditative center of the set, I think, and ethereal sounding and meditative, as I've said. The fifth movement, Togetherness, is quite.
That's an ironic title.
Yeah, quite
It's an ironic
interestingly,
title.
there are, I think, only 3 moments in which the performers are actually supposed to be together. Everything else is seemingly random, but not, and a rambunctious kind of interaction that is never together, except for those couple of moments. And then the final movement, again, one of my favorites, I go for the rhythmic groove, and groove is actually the word that Dorothy uses to describe that movement. The classical composers attempt to codify in the Western musical language the concept of groove in that rhythm study number 1 as the 6th movement of the set. And then after that,
there's actually quite a lot of groove in the whole concert. So the second, the final 2 pieces on the program, Virag by Asha Srinivasan and Love Triangle by Dhanuk Gujaratna, they both draw on classical Indian music. South Indian in the case of Asha's piece, and North Indian in the case of Dhanuk's
North and
piece.
South, I think.
Oh, in Dhanuk's piece, sorry.
Dhanuk's piece, yeah.
So we have a special relationship with the piece by Asha. Nathan and I were one of the commissioning ensembles for that work, and we haven't played it in quite a while, and it was really fantastic to revisit it. It's a very energetic piece, really interesting rhythmic patterns. Asha has said that she based it on a vocal exercise that she learned as a child, studying classical Indian music as a child, South Indian music as a child, and this was one of the patterns that she most enjoyed.
And an interesting personal note, Asha currently teaches at the university in Wisconsin that my dad recently retired from. Hi, Dad. I think you're watching. At Lawrence University in Appleton, Wisconsin, which is the town in which I grew up.
And we forgot to mention that Dorothy is a colleague at the University of British Columbia. She's professor of composition there. And Dhanuk is based in Toronto now, but he was based in Halifax for several years, and is no stranger to audiences here in St. John's. He's been a guest of the Tuckamore Festival. He's visited and performed here several times.
When we visited with him and got some input from him over Zoom, as everybody's doing nowadays, he told us to say hi to Bill and Vernon. Yeah. Well-known, Bill Brennan and Vernon Regier are well-known to audiences here as well. Yeah. So he's well-connected, and it's fabulous to perform his piece. So sorry I interrupted.
Well, no, that's fine. That's okay, hon.
I do that now and then.
So we should finish up quickly here so we can get on to the music. But about Dhanuk's piece, I mean, this is a fantastic, fantastic work. Originally for piano trio, you guys should feel free to jump in if you want to add anything. Built on a really interesting 7-beat cycle, rhythmic cycle, and uses an Arabic scale for some of its melodic content, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful, incredibly well-crafted journey. So we hope you enjoy it.
And thank you to Michelle and Dhanuk for the input. But but 2 of the pieces on the program are not for violin, are not for flute, but for violin. No, and she did some good work to convert those parts along with Janouk with his input.
What you
for
meant to say
flute.
is it's always been done on violin, but archaeologists recently found the original flute scores, and we are bringing those to the masses.
To life, yes.
No.
Anyway, I think that's a good introduction to the works on the program. Yeah.
Great, well, thanks. It's great to have you here in the hall as well. And without further ado, coming to your screens, the Trinitas Chamber Ensemble with a wonderful, diverse, fantastic program. Enjoy it, and we'll see you afterwards. Welcome back, everyone. What a fantastic concert. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did and they did, watching it live. It was a real treat to experience all that wonderful music. What a diverse program. And their infectious chemistry on stage. And I can tell you the infectious chemistry was also happening here as they were watching themselves and talking about it and critiquing. It was really, really nice to experience that with the ensemble. I want to ask you about how you approach repertoire choices, because I know that you kind of focus on, as it has been in the past, called sort of on the fringe of the chamber music repertoire. But before I ask that, I know you guys are bubbled together, and I was wondering, like, what has that been like? Presumably at the beginning of our current situation, health and safety guidelines and so on, you probably weren't playing together. And then you made the move, I guess, to bubble together so you could do this kind of work. So, like, what was that like?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was great. I mean, I feel very, very privileged and very grateful that this worked out. So, like most people, or like many people, maybe our first bubbles were with another family. In fact, ours was with a faculty colleague who has a daughter the same or close in age to one of our kids, because we wanted to have, you know, the social aspect for our kids as well as for us, because they're of course good friends. And but then when the opportunity came to expand, and it became clear that Newfoundland and Labrador was doing a very good job keeping the COVID-19 numbers in check. That's what made it, I think, for me anyway, as a wind player, that's what made me feel more comfortable about going ahead and expanding our bubble to include our musical partner, because Nathan and I are married, which I think most of our audience probably knows. So to include Phil, so that we could get together and play. Not that there have been, you know, a huge number of concert opportunities, but we're very grateful to be able to take advantage of the ones that there are. Yeah. Do you have anything you want to add, either of you? To that?
No.
I will also say that we are also all very careful. Like,
oh yes,
you know, Nathan and I are working from home. Phil and his wife can work from home. So we're all working from home. We're not going out. So we're doing what we can, everything we can to mitigate the risk as well. You know, we're limiting, you know, what our kids can do, although they're back in their school bubbles now. So who knows, all bets are off.
Their school cohorts.
Yes, sorry,
yeah.
cohorts. But anyway, that's sort of been our approach.
Yeah.
Great. So, I mean, I really enjoyed the music throughout the show, and I'm really struck by the diversity of music and styles, and you know, most of which I guess all of which I had not heard before. How do you guys go about making those kind of repertoire choices? And because I think that your repertoire choices are also part of sort of the ethos of the ensembles. Do you tell us a little bit about that?
She tells us what to play. No, we do a lot of listening.
Yeah, we do.
And I mean, it's not, you know, the flute, cello, piano repertoire isn't as broad as the violin cello repertoire, for instance. Or the string quartet repertoire. So you hunt things out, right? And you do a lot of listening, and you find things that you think would work, and you find a piece that intrigues you, and you think, I really want to play that. Now, what could we pair with that?
Right.
What could go on a concert with that piece? So you find something that you really, really like.
Yeah.
Like Danook's piece. I mean, we listened to that, and we thought, I don't care if he wrote it for violin. He meant to write it for flute.
Yeah, and I'm embarrassed that I didn't know of the piece before, because I was very familiar with Danook's work as a composer, but I was doing some repertoire diving back in March. Last March, and when I found that piece, I think the email to Danook had started already before the final chords, you know, had cleared my ears and my headphones. I think I might have written to him before I wrote to these guys and said, I found a piece I really want to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. But programming, I mean, the programming is part of the creativity of being a musician, and I do really enjoy that work. And in seeking out, I think part of the reason we've gravitated towards the type of repertoire that we have is because there are lots of fabulous musicians in the world, and we feel that one of the things we can bring to the musical table, so to speak, is repertoire that isn't necessarily going to be played by every single group that's out there. So we do try to be a bit eclectic in our programming
thoughtful
choices.
programming.
Yeah,
Not that others don't program
no,
thoughtfully,
of course not. Yeah,
but yeah.
And I think that I feel like we sit in a liminal zone because we do new music, we do quite new music, and we also do things like the Schoenfeld, which is like very much more straight ahead traditional. So I feel like one of the things we try to do is we try to build programs that are going to be interesting for the ear in lots and lots of different ways. Does that make some sense? Yeah. So.
I feel as a pianist, this must be giving you a wide variety of repertoire to explore that you wouldn't have explored otherwise.
Oh, definitely, yeah. There's a lot of composers. Some of these people have written extensively for piano, but a lot of them haven't. So I get to experience a lot of composers I otherwise wouldn't, or sometimes will play something, and then I'll go in and be like, I wonder if they did anything for piano solo, and find some really neat things. I don't know, I've heard, for me, like, searching for repertoire is kind of like shopping at Costco. You go in for one thing, and then you just like, I got our next 4 concerts planned. There's all kinds of great stuff out there. You just gotta, poke around.
It's very true. It's very true. And I do think we have quite a long list now that in March, because, our lives as teachers, they took a little bit of a hiatus unexpectedly, Memorial shut down a little bit earlier than it normally would have. So we did put that time to good use in doing a lot of repertoire research. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, so a silver lining amidst a very difficult time.
Yes, yeah.
We've got Emma McEachern here, who's a 4th-year voice performance major, and she's been watching the chat and so on. Emma, do you have any questions from any of the audience members?
I just have one from Annie, and she asks, first, how do you find new rep, which you kind of already talked about, but she had another question. And it is, what makes for a long-lasting relationship as a chamber ensemble?
Well, you stay away from a love triangle. That's rule number 1.
I wasn't going to bring it up.
Well, I do think, there's a chemistry that you need to have as performers and actually not as performers, as workers, as rehearsers, that works. So, the ego, everybody has an ego, right? But when you're working together, it's not about that. It's about the best product you can produce and the most effective result, and the most fun. And I think we have fun. And sometimes we do have to keep ourselves in check a little bit in rehearsals. We have to remind ourselves we only have 90 minutes, guys, because we're having too much fun and we got to get down to work. So I think allowing yourself to have fun, and when you find a group in which you can have fun, that's golden.
Yeah. And this came about very naturally. I mean, we all worked with each other individually before the trio came together, so we kind of knew that it was all working, but then it was like, oh, let's put the spaghetti with the sauce.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I think for me too, Nathan, your point about the everybody's personalities sort of fitting together. And I think, if you have one person in an ensemble who likes to goof off a bit or tell jokes, but the other people in the ensemble just are not like that at all, then that might be a difficult working relationship. So we just sort of have a good balance of all of that. And also for me, working with people whose playing I really admire, that makes a, yeah. Sorry. Well, I love you guys.
Playing too. Yeah.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
That helps. Yeah.
That's fantastic. It was really, you guys didn't get to experience this watching the show from your screens, but I got to experience this watching it here, because this chemistry, this banter and interaction was just so vibrant while you guys were watching each other. And they even took a selfie of themselves watching, so it was like a picture of them watching a picture of themselves. It was all...
You can check out our Instagram for
that.
I think Phil's probably posted it soon. Yeah.
It's up.
It's already up.
Oh, yeah, actually, and this is another thing too. We all have complementary skills. I mean, I don't know I think this does contribute also to a positive, to a group that's going to work, right? So Phil has skills that I don't have. Like, I barely knew what Instagram was before Phil signed us up. And so we all sort of take different pieces of the pie and take responsibility for those things. Yeah.
Great. Well, it sounds like you've got, in this conversation, but also sounding from the performance, a wonderful recipe going on there. It's really,
Thank
really,
you.
really
Yeah.
magical.
We think so too. Yeah.
Do you guys have any, sort of my last question, do you have any words of advice? Because no doubt there are many students and young musicians watching as well. Any advice for musicians that are up and coming, planning their careers, or tips to survive pandemics as musicians? Any thoughts you'd like to impart to the audience members around that stuff?
Wow, yeah, that's...
Well, you find someone you like playing with or singing with, and you stick with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Build your craft. This is the advice to students, you know, work hard to build your craft, build a solid foundation, because part of the reason we can just let loose and have fun is because we have that solid foundation. You know, there are just certain things that are not going to go wrong for us. There are lots of things that do go wrong, but there are other things that we know we can rely on, and so then that gives you freedom. So that would be one of my pieces of advice.
Yeah, and remember, whatever it is you're going through, whatever challenge you have that you're dealing with right now, almost everyone else is dealing with it too. So, you know, make musical friends, talk to people, go on Instagram feeds and stuff, and you'll see that, yeah, it's a very small but large world.
Yeah.
Oh, and always do your best to be your best self. Right. So if you're in rehearsal, be the best you can be in that rehearsal, because you might be auditioning for that chamber music partner that's sitting over there somewhere and thinking, wow, I really like how she plays. I want to do something with her. Chamber group in the making.
Excellent, thanks. Congratulations again on what a fantastic concert, and really we're honored to have you on the program.
Oh, our
for this
pleasure.
show.
And we should give the final word of thanks to all the composers.
Yes.
Yeah, all of these composers are still alive and producing music, and we're so grateful that they are.
Yeah.
Great, absolutely. And maybe some of them are watching this evening. We can check in with them afterwards.
Yes.
So I hope you all enjoyed this conversation. We're coming towards the end. I am getting a message in my ear, however, that we might have some important information coming up about our theory professor, Joe Argentino. I think that's correct.
Where in the world is Joe Argentino?
Gumshoes! What a relief to see you. Joe Argentino is still missing, and our music theory students are really starting to lose it. At first, we could handle all their frustrated leading tones, sure. But now, writing everything in D minor, the saddest of all keys, it's just too much. We need you back on this case, Gumshoes. Luckily, here are 3 new clues to help you hone in on Joe's location. Maybe Joe is competing in this country's famous race that takes place over 23 days and covers 3,500 kilometers. The top award at a film festival held in this country is the Golden Palm. Hey, didn't I see Joe walk the red carpet with Lauren Graham? And let's hope Joe's not lactose intolerant, because this country produces over 400 different kinds of cheese. Think you know where in the world Joe Argentino is? Email music@mun.ca with your guess. If you're right, you'll get 3 entries into our fabulous drawing to win a concert pass to the Winter 2021 Music at Mun concert series, a Memorial University hoodie, and a trophy. Need more clues? Tune in next week to the next concert in the Music at Memorial digital concert series. That's October 29th, featuring Duo Concertante. Gumshoes, we're counting on you. 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3.
Where in the world is Joe Argentino?
9, 2, 3, 4, 10, 2. No, I'm kidding. Thank you, Annie Corrigan, for those updates on where in the world is Joe Argentino. Students, really help us out, help a dean out, find the theory prof, and get your answers in as soon as you can. So that's it for this evening. It's my last duty and pleasure to thank everybody that has made this concert possible. Of course, the Trinitas Chamber Ensemble, Nathan Cook, Michelle Cheremy, and Phil Roberts. Bravo again.
Thank you.
To Pete Stambridge, our cinematographer, and our master of sound, Steve Lilly, thank you so much to both of you. And Chelsea Walsh, who often directs all these things. Thank you to Chelsea Walsh. And finally to Emma McEachern for being here this evening to man the feed. So have a great evening, everyone. If you're taking the presidential debate, I hope you enjoy it. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.